This is no ordinary Hyundai Creta. It's the brand new N-Line version, which I think is the closest that you and I can get to when it comes to experiencing the shenanigans over at Hyundai's N Performance division. We all have seen videos of the Ioniq 5N going properly sideways, the i20N kicking up its inside rear wheel in the corners, and so on. Here in India, we have to make do with diluted models like the Venue N Line and the i20 N Line, both powered by a 1-litre 3-cylinder turbo engine. But with the Creta N Line, Hyundai has leveled up and given it a bigger 1.5-litre 4-cylinder turbo engine. I know, you get the same engine in the standard Creta. But what's unique to this N Line version is this. A proper old-school 6-speed manual for the real driving enthusiast in you. On paper then, the Creta N Line looks good, but it needs to be more than just good. It needs to have an X factor, something that will make it worthwhile. And so in this review, I'm going to address these 5 crucial questions that will help you decide whether you should buy this N Line version or go for the regular Creta instead. My name is Sagar and you're watching Carwale. So, does it look special? Well, Hyundai says that the design for the Creta N Line has been inspired by their WRC program. And if I'm honest, I am struggling to see the inspiration in any way across this car, but I do like what I'm seeing. It's all very tastefully done. For instance, I like the contrasting elements on this redesigned bumper, and I also like the look of these 18-inch redesigned alloy wheels, which are a size bigger than the Creta. I also like this twin tailpipe design for the exhaust and this tailgate spoiler. Overall, it all adds up, and everything that has been done differently on this N-Line version makes it look nice and special. Well, almost. I say that because the Creta N-Line also gets red inserts on the sills and on the front and rear bumpers. If you ask me, this red treatment is quite garish and it gives off strong boy racer vibes. But at the end of the day, looks are subjective, and it seems Hyundai has had enough takers for the i20 N Line to have replicated the red inserts for the Creta N Line. What's also special is this new matte grey color, which is exclusive to the Creta N Line. It will require extra maintenance and care in the long run, but then that's the price one has to pay for distinctiveness. It looks special, I will give you that. But you know what? This also feels special, at least from the driver's seat it does. Right now I'm looking at this 3-spoke steering wheel, which looks and feels great. These metal pedals, they are equally nice to use. And take a look at this. The gear lever on the manual version of the Creta N Line, well, it reminds me of the one on the Golf GTI, mainly because of the perforated finish and the Golf wall-like design. Also, one last major change that you will see in this cabin are the seats. They are differently upholstered and you get some subtle N badging. The seats are plenty supportive and they come with red piping, which is a neat touch. The red undertone continues on the dashboard, the AC vents, and the entire panel, which houses the main infotainment display and the driver's display. It adds a nice contrast to this all-black interior. Usually I'm not a fan of all black interiors, but the dark theme in here gives it a nice, snug, sporty feel when you're seated in it. So is there anything else that Hyundai could have done to make this cabin feel even more special? Well, there is only so much they can do when you consider the price difference, and I will get to that in a bit. All said and done, I would have liked to see a dedicated N mode for the graphics on this driver's display. Now, that's something that you get in proper N models sold overseas. Oh yes, it is fast. I mean, I am talking about 160 brake horsepower SUV that's not heavy or cumbersome to drive. Of course, it's very responsive, it will make you smile with its turn of speed, and you will be able to keep up with traffic on pretty much any occasion. But, and there is a big but here. Now all of those things that I just said, well, they hold true for the regular Creta Turbo Petrol as well. This N-Line version, it gets the same engine, the same exhaust, the same 7-speed gearbox. And it's not like this engine is making any more horsepower and torque over the standard model. It's all evenly matched actually between this car and the standard Creta. The calibration on the 7-speed DCT is also exactly the same as the standard model. But I am not driving the 7-speed DCT model here. It is in fact the 6-speed manual, which on paper is supposed to be slower from 0 to 100 km per hour. But how much slower? Let's find out. Okay, this is a tricky one. If you associate fun with driving engagement and fluid controls, then yes, absolutely, the Creta is fun. The engine is strong, it pulls particularly hard at the top end, and even though it doesn't have a very loud, snarly exhaust note to back up the speed, this engine, it still sounds pretty sweet. This 1.5-litre 4-cylinder engine is refined when you're doing everyday speeds, but it also has some character when you poke it. Naturally, it has strong performance to offer in the mid-range because of the turbo, but what's surprising is the step up in performance once you're past 5000 RPM. It comes alive at the top end, and that's what makes it fun. So what about the gearbox? This is of course the 6-speed manual version that we are driving, and I'm glad we are getting to test the Creta N Line as a manual. Hyundai knows how to make a good gearbox, and this is right up there. It slots into gears with precision. It's got a very nice click to it as you go through the gears, and it's very easy to do quick shifts on the Creta N Line without hashing it up. As for the pedals, they are correctly positioned with the clutch pedal having just the right amount of travel. It's also light and progressive, and it's easy to work with the bite point on this clutch, especially when you're going down the gears. Now of course, this car, it will not rev match on its own, so you will have to match the actual speed with the engine speed, but thankfully it's all pretty fluid because of how user-friendly this drivetrain is. Now in terms of steering and suspension, Hyundai hasn't made any drastic changes. In fact, the only changes that they have made is to retune the steering and the suspension to account for the bigger wheel size. But apart from that, it's all pretty much the same. The ride height is still the same, the suspension setup is pretty much the same, and so are the brakes. Now in this car, you get disc brakes on all 4 corners. But unlike the ones on the i20 N Line, which also gets disc brakes all around, the front brake calipers on that car are finished in red, whereas the rear brake calipers are finished in silver. But here, the Creta N Line gets it all red. Time to answer the big question. It feels special, it is fast enough, and it is fun to drive. But should you buy the Creta N Line? Before I tell you that, take a look at this. The price difference between the most expensive Creta Turbo Petrol version and this N Line version is just 30,000 rupees. And for the extra premium, you're getting a performance SUV that genuinely looks and feels special. It's a niche product for a small audience after all. So if you have been looking at the Creta Turbo Petrol, then we would recommend you spend a little more time and check out this N Line version. That's it from us from this video. We will be getting the Creta N Line again for a full review. Let us know if there is anything specific that you would want us to test. Until then, drive safe.